in training. You haven't been at any of the rehearsals. Mr. Joe Pastorrico? What kind of a name is that? Did you get that out of the Bible? One of them big long names that nobody can say? He says, you've got some knowledge. You're first. What I do, would you guys...
bring him on up.
He wants to talk to you, not me. He says thank you even in his note. Oh, here you go.
Could I join your program and maybe give a little bit of information to some of the people here?
Joey, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's a professional and can do it.
Now, Danny, look at how adorable he is. Isn't he adorable?
I don't know. Wow. I think so. I like it. I like his smile.
You are outdone. You are overloaded.
Come on, Joe. We love to see you. Thanks now.
Well, I guess I should say, welcome, Mr. Joe Pastorrico. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can you hear me?
Joe.
I have, okay. I thought maybe I needed to give all of you some information that I've learned over the years. When I was a young boy and grew up, I started reading. I loved to read. And by the time I was in the 3rd grade, I'd read all the Encyclopedia Britannica, every volume of it. And I remember a lot of that stuff. And I just thought, you know, you people being a lot younger than me, you would enjoy some of this information. I was wondering if any of you ladies, whenever you get a roll of wax paper or tin foil, you pull it out and the whole roll comes right out of the box. It's so disgusting. Do you know there's 2 little tabs, one on each end of the box, and if you'll just push those in, that holds that in there and it won't happen anymore. The other thing is fabric. You buy, my wife's bought me some pants before, and there's a big piece of fabric in there. Now, I don't know what you guys think that's for, but most people think that they use that, if you tear a hole in it, well, you can patch it, right? Well, the reason for that is you can wash that piece of fabric in your detergent to find out whether it's going to ruin the pants before you really wash the pants. I also wanted you to know that honey is the only food that won't spoil. So you always want to keep that some around in case, you know, something happens with all your food, the honey won't spoil. And giraffes and elephants. Giraffes and elephants are the only 2 animals that can't hold their breath. And that's the reason they're so, giraffes are so tall and the elephants have that long trunk so they get in deep water, they got their head out of there and they can stay alive. I was wondering, do any of you use buttermilk? Do you know there's no butter in buttermilk? That's the liquid left over from churning the butter. The pop tabs on a can of pop, have you ever noticed that? You get an aluminum can of pop and get your straw down in there and it just pops right back out. Well, that tab was purposely made with a hole in it. You stick your straw through that hole, turn it over a little bit, and it holds the straw in there. And I also want to tell you about these 2-liter bottles of pop. You get those 2-liter bottles of pop and you put them in the refrigerator, and in about a week they're stale and they don't taste good. Well, the secret is, right before you put them in there, you take the cap, and put it on real tight and shake them real hard. And that causes all them molecules to jump around in there, and it'll stay fresh for at least 2 weeks. I'll guarantee you that. Henry Hines, you've heard of him, he had Heinz 57 varieties. Well, he really had 60 varieties. And he started out with horseradish. But 7 years later, he started making ketchup. Now, a lot of times you can't get ketchup out of the bottle very easy. So he was a pretty smart man. He took and put the 57 right on the side of the bottle. Have you ever noticed that? It's made right in the bottle. If you'll take that bottle and open it up and just peck right on that 57, that ketchup will come right out of it. That's what that's for. That's the sweet spot on the bottle. I got to tell you about golf balls. If you ever noticed a golf ball's got these dimples on them, well, I counted them the other day, and there's 366 dimples on every golf ball. I counted a dozen of them. They're all the same. But do you know why them are on there? You golfers probably know that. This is a fact now. Before they put them dimples on there, when the golf ball was struck with a club, it would sail through the air, and the air circulating over the top and the bottom would come together, and it slowed that ball down. And so they put the dimples in there so the air fluffs around it, and it'll go twice as far when you hit it with a dimple. So if you buy golf balls, make sure you have dimples on them. The Eiffel Tower, you know, the Eiffel Tower is made out of steel, and when it's a real nice sunny day, the sun heats one side of that up, and it expands the metal. And then as the sun goes to the other side, it expands it on the other side, and that expansion on one side and not the other, the top of the Eiffel Tower will move 7 feet, a little over 7 feet, back and forth in 24 hours when it's real hot. Now, always remember, everything I'm telling you is facts from stuff I got out of the encyclopedias when I can remember that stuff years ago. It's stuff that I just got told 15 minutes ago that I can't remember. Ospreys, you see them flying around down here in the park? Well, ospreys build their nest, and the more eggs they're going to have, the higher they build the nest. If you see a nest down maybe 70, 80 feet in a tree or somewhere, they're only going to have 1 egg. If they're going to have 2 eggs, it'll be maybe 100 feet. And if they're going to lay 3 eggs, they might be 150, 200 feet in the air. I don't know why they do it, but that's the way they do it. I think it's got something to do with the mother that's going to have 3. She's thinking if we get up there higher, if a couple of them fall out, well, she wants to be high enough that they, they're on their own then. Strawberries, we have a lot of strawberries down here. You know strawberries is the only berry that has the seed on the outside. Ice cream scoops. Do you know that ice cream scoops are color-coded? They're different colors. Have you ever noticed that? The handle on them? These people back here dipping know that. But a certain size, a certain color is a size, and it takes, like a yellow takes 3 dips to get 32 ounces. But if you get a blue one, it only takes 2 dips. Or if you get a green one, I think it takes 7 dips to get 32 ounces. But each one of them's a different size. That's pretty important information. And then this is I got to tell this is a safety thing, and I have one other thing I want to say after that, if I could. This is a safety. Could I do that? Well, the safety issue is the headrest in your car. do you know those will pull right out of there? And that was actually designed that way so that if you get trapped in your car, you can pull that headrest out and use them rods to break the windows out so you can get out of the car. That is very practical. Now, I have a little story I want to tell. If I could do that, and then I'll get out of your hair. It's a short story. I look over the crowd here, and I don't see anybody I know. Yeah, there's a farmer, dairy farmer back there in the back. You guys may know him. His name is Rex Sigline. He used to have a dairy farm up in Michigan, and his cows wasn't producing very well. And he told me, he said, I was talking to my neighbor, and the neighbor said, I started playing music on the radio out in my barn, and the cows started producing a lot more milk. And so the guy kept telling him, and Rex's cows wasn't doing very good, so he finally went and bought a radio and took it out in the barn, started playing it. Boy, the production of the milk started increasing. And every day he'd go out and he'd get a little more milk. One day he went out there and he had this ram. He used that ram on the farm for breeding purposes. And he looked at that ram and it had backed up from the barn. It was a cement wall barn. And he ran and just the ram just ran right into the barn with its head. And then he backed up and he did it again. And Rex thought, my word, he says, the ram keeps doing this, it's going to kill himself. And he walked in the barn, and Frank Sinatra was singing the song, "There Will Never Be Another You."